Hi, welcome to Storytime. I'm Anne from the National Air and Space Museum, and I'm here to bring some of our museum stories to you at home. Have you ever been on an airplane when it's taking off? That's an exciting time when the airplane rolls down the runway to build up speed and then takes off. When the airplane lands again, it makes contact with the runway on its landing gear and slows down. Most airplanes have wheels to roll down a runway, but what about airplanes that land on the water? They have to be designed a little differently. One way that planes can land on the water is to make the bottom of the airplane like a boat. The wide shape of a boat spreads out the weight over a larger area so that a large heavy object can float on the water. Seaplanes like this were called flying boats. Look at this painting of the Navy's Curtiss NC-4. Do you see the fuselage is shaped like a boat? This type of plane could not fly very high or fast because the boat shape works better in the water than the air. This was the first airplane to fly across the Atlantic Ocean in 1919. What an adventure! It took them 20 days, almost 3 weeks, to make the trip. What do you think the person on the front of the flying boat is looking at? Another solution is to put floats or pontoons on the bottom of the airplane. Pontoons are hollow and contain air, a bit like pool toys that you might use when you swim. These floats hang down below an airplane. This airplane has 3 pontoons, one big one in the middle and 2 small ones on the side. Small seaplanes can land in places that are hard to reach other ways, like lakes up in the mountains. People who like to explore and have adventures can use seaplanes to get where they want to go. Here's a story about seaplanes. Once upon a time, there were 3 friends who liked exploring and experimenting. They were Millie, Ruth, and Lou. One day, packages arrived in the mail for Millie and her brother, Mo. They were from their Uncle Jim, who worked as a pilot in the Navy. Millie opened her package, and it was a model of one of the first flying boats. A card on the model said that it was the first airplane to fly across the Atlantic Ocean. The model looked tricky to put together, and Millie knew it would be fun to spend time to get it just right. Mo opened his package, and it was a toy seaplane. "Zoom! Splash!" said Mo. "I wonder if it really floats." "Let's find out," said Millie. She filled up a big plastic tub of water for Mo, and they put it and a towel on the kitchen floor. Just then, Ruth and Lou stopped by. "What's happening?" asked Ruth. Millie said, "Mo got this toy seaplane from our Uncle Jim, and we're about to test it to see if it will float." "What's it made of?" said Lou. "Some things can't go in the water. They get ruined or even disappear." "No, it's okay," said Millie, looking closely at the package. "It's made from recycled plastic." "Go ahead, Mo." Mo zoomed the airplane around and tossed it into the tub. It made a big splash, and the friends all jumped back. Then it bobbed up and down on top of the water. "Floats!" declared Mo, and he picked up the airplane to do it again. Millie said to the friends, "Do you want to see the model my Uncle Jim sent me? I'll have to put it together." She showed them the box, and Lou said, "That will look super on a shelf in your room." Ruth said, "I don't think you can put that in the water, though." "Yeah," said Millie. "I wish I had a toy seaplane, too." "Let's make them," said the friends all together. Millie and Mo had a box of stuff in their kitchen that they collected to make things. The friends looked in the box. Ruth said, "What do you think we should use to make our seaplanes?" Lou said, "I think we should test the material first to see what it does in the water." She grabbed a paper towel tube and some rubber bands. She tossed them in the tub. The rubber bands sank to the bottom of the tub, but the paper towel tube floated. Then Millie put a square of foil in the tub. "Floats," said Mo. Ruth tossed in a popsicle stick. "Floats," they all shouted happily. "Hold on," said Lou. "What's happening to my tube? It looks like it's coming all apart." Ruth said, "Maybe it has some glue in it that doesn't work in the water." They kept trying different stuff: a plastic bottle, packing foam, newspaper, a paper clip, modeling clay, a clothespin, and a paper plate. They sorted the materials into piles: things that float, things that sink, and things that fall apart. Then the friends used the best materials to build airplanes. They all thought about the design of the model and the toy Uncle Jim sent for ideas about how to design their own toys. Millie used a plastic bottle and some paper plates to make a flying boat like Uncle Jim sent her. Ruth used foil and made a plane with pontoon floats on the bottom like Moe's toy. Lou's was made of a clothespin and had popsicle sticks floating on the bottom. When they were finished, the three friends all joined Moe and said, "Zoom!" and they splashed their airplanes in the tub. Success! They gave each other a high five. Millie and Moe wrote a thank you letter to Uncle Jim and included a drawing of the three friends and their airplane experiments. Uncle Jim loved the drawing and kept it in the cockpit of his plane so he could see it every time he flew. It's craft time! Today we're going to make float planes or seaplanes. I have one here that was a little bit tricky to make. I used a clothespin and I reused some plastic bottles to make the floats and the wings. You can see how I kind of did it, and I added a yarn so that I can make it dip down and up. That one's pretty hard and tricky to make, but today together we're going to show you how I made another kind of flying boat that's a little bit easier. What you're going to need for this is some plastic bottles. I have a water bottle, maybe you can find some colored bottles that are fun to use, and test them out and see if they float in the water. I'm going to use the water bottle, and then I used another bottle, a cider bottle, and I cut a wing shape out of the side of that bottle. So here's the wing shape. I'm just going to use a little piece of duct tape, and I'm going to tape that wing shape right onto my bottle right there. It kind of looks like a plane, and I think that's going to really float. Let's try it out in the water and see. Meow, splash. Oh, it's a little tippy. You have to be really careful to put that wing right in the center of your airplane so that the weight is even on each side. Otherwise, it tips in one direction or the other. Let's see if we can make it so it doesn't tip. There it goes. Terrific. Meow. Enjoy playing with your float plane in a tub, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.